Hi, I'm David Penn, Research Analyst with Finovate. We're here at FinovateEurope in London, and joining me is Nick Kerrigan. He is Managing Director, Head of Innovation with Swift. Nick, great to see you again.
Great. Wonderful to be joining you today.
Fantastic. I thought maybe before we jumped into these questions, you could tell people a little bit about yourself and the work that you do at Swift.
Absolutely, yeah. So I lead our innovation efforts at Swift, and particularly focused over the last couple of years or so on digital assets, digital money, and blockchain technologies, and all of the kind of emergent space around this in terms of powering the new rails of payments for the future. And then Swift, of course, well, Swift is the world's largest financial messaging network.
Good.
We connect 11,500 banks in over 200 countries globally, and we see a value equivalent to the world's annual GDP across our network every 3 days or so.
Wow, good grief. Well, we're going to talk today a little bit about tokenization, and I wonder if maybe you could just sort of talk about why it's such a big deal right now, why we're hearing it so much.
I think the thing about tokenization is we're on this journey from novelty to maturity. And you know, this isn't really a story about the price of crypto, it's a story about institutional adoption and institutions really realizing the potential power of this technology to transform their businesses. And that was really top of the agenda at Davos just a few weeks ago, where you had leaders like Larry Fink, like Bill Winters, talking about how, you know, the financial system is going to go on chain.
Very, very interesting. What would you say are some of the more the potential for transformation via tokenization? What exactly is it going to be able to deliver to us?
I think there are many potential benefits to unlock through tokenization. I mean, first of all, you think about faster settlement, so 24/7, 365 days a year. You think about things like lowered risk through greater transparency of positions and balances. You also think about things like improved efficiency, right? You know, less manual reconciliations, fewer manual checks. You also then think about things that start to unlock the new business models, so making assets that today quite illiquid into much more tradable things, and then start to open up new opportunities, so things that financial institutions, you know, find hard to do today but would like to do, so intraday liquidity management, programmable transactions, and unlocking the power of private markets as well.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I'm going to ask you this, ask it this way. What would you say is behind the acceleration in this trend? A lot of these concepts have been around for a while, but we really, as you mentioned with Davos, we're really seeing a lot of momentum right now, a lot of serious institutional interest. What do you think is driving that?
I think there are a few factors here, because as you said, right, I mean, many of us have been in this space, like blockchain space, for over 10 years now. But I think there are kind of three unlocks which are really happening, right? The first one is institutions have really decided that this is a technology that is sufficiently mature for them to move from experiments into real world adoption.
Okay.
So I think that's the first piece. Second piece then comes from regulatory clarity. So you've seen like the Genius Act in the US, MICA in the European Union. Once you have regulatory clarity, it gives institutions much more confidence to be able to say, I can adopt, you know, tokenization. And then the third, I think, is a sort of policy level thing, where policymakers have really realized that the future of financial infrastructure is actually of geopolitical significance. And therefore tokenization and blockchain as the future of that financial infrastructure are really, you know, really vital topics that they have to be across.
Very, very interesting. In terms of, you talked at the outset about Swift's incredible range, incredible reach across the globe, and I'm curious from a point of view of looking toward the future, how do you see Swift being able to leverage some of this technology for use cases for things like cross-border payments, which are huge? Yeah,
I mean, absolutely. We are very focused on improving cross-border payments. The G20 has this agenda about speed, transparency, and cost of cross-border payments, and we've been investing heavily together with the industry around that. So like 75% of the payments that we see across our network today reach the beneficiary bank in 10 minutes and sometimes within seconds. So it's much, much faster than potentially people used to perceive it is. But we also know we need to go further in this. And so we are putting our efforts now into a couple of really big initiatives that are going to both improve the existing payment rails and also create the rails of the future.
Really, really interesting. I'm wondering, maybe by way of wrapping up, you can maybe elaborate on some of those initiatives a little bit?
Sure. So as I said, two big initiatives. One is around the existing rails and putting a payment scheme on top of those rails, which will deliver much more certainty around the experience that our clients' customers will get from doing those cross-border payments. And then the second one is then about putting a blockchain-based ledger on top of the SWIFT network to create the rails of the future. And we're working with over 40 banks from over 16 countries across the world to co-create this ledger, which will, we hope, deliver wholesale cross-border payments 24 by 7. So it's really exciting potential for the future, and I think it really will help the industry take a step change, and also for us ensure that we have a future that's kind of interoperable, that's based on trust and based on standards.
Yeah, really, really interesting stuff. And again, like you said, for those of us who've sort of been in this space for a little while, to see it finally really starting to step into the main stage is really, really exciting. That future that you talk about is coming faster and faster every day.
It absolutely is. I said last year that we were ready for takeoff. I said today that we've lifted off and we're now in flight.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, thank you for spending a little time with us and helping us understand a lot of these really interesting but somewhat complex issues.
Great, thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely, and thank you.